In a secret location deep in the heart of old Idlib, activists paint fresh slogans for the Friday protest. Fire forges iron into steel is one. A free Idlib will only worship Allah is another. A third, shoot us, bomb us, but leave Homs alone. Be careful what you wish for. For weeks, Idlib watched events in Homs and braced. Locals put up barricades, but tank shells slammed into the market district warned of the firestorm to come. After a brief 4-month window of freedom, Idlib's streets were emptying. 2 days after we shot these pictures, Idlib was a war zone, bodies piling up in a city mosque, field hospitals unable to cope with the casualties. 5 days later, the army is back in control. But the day before the army bombed their way back in, the mood was defiant. At Friday prayers, the Imam rallied worshippers. Allah is watching. Come Judgment Day, those people, he means the Bashar regime, won't be able to look Allah in the eyes. Outside, the regular Friday demonstration was a jubilant affair. Pro-democracy protests in Idlib city started last March with only 15 people who were beaten up by security forces. By April, there were 500. By May, government forces were shooting at crowds of thousands, but the demonstrations grew. By October, repeated skirmishes with the Free Syrian Army, both in the city and around the province, pushed security forces back inside their headquarters, where they bided their time. I'm with the Free Syrian Army in the revolution, cries this grandmother. Mazen Al-Jah is an agricultural engineer turned activist. 6 months ago, he was arrested and tortured by the regime.
The security forces accused me of being one of the armed gangs and terrorists, part of a pro-Islamic movement, which meant they could kill me without hesitation.
They pulled out his fingernails, kicked him in the face and electrocuted him all over his body, leaving deep burns.
We say to Bashar al-Assad, we will win, and you and your regime will lose, and Idlib will be your graveyard.
The people of Idlib believe they stand a better chance of prevailing against the regime because the landscape of rugged mountains and millions of olive trees is a resistance fighter's natural habitat. For a brief period, most of Idlib province was outside the control of Damascus, the symbolic center of the uprising Clock Square in Idlib city. In so many ways, Idlib is not Homs. It's an almost entirely united Sunni community with a tiny Christian minority which, while worried about the violence, mostly supports political change. The Syrian government cannot pretend here that it's defending one part of the city from so-called terrorists in another part. Idlib does not have a security problem. It has an Assad regime problem. But it has a geopolitical problem too. Demonstrators last Friday ritually burned the Russian flag. But while the shocking scale of their suffering since has earned them worldwide sympathy, it's not saved them from the tanks of the regime. Anita McNaught, Al Jazeera, Idlib City.